right. We're talking golf. The PGA Tour on the Prime Sports Network YouTube channel. No Jan. I know this is actually, what am I talking about? This is Tee Off with Jan Stevens. You got to keep reminding me about that. I've got 5 channels now, so it's kind of confusing. But this
Look at
is
you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and we got a long way to go before we get those subscribers up. But anyway, this is the Tee Off with Jan Stevenson golf channel. But we will be providing videos. We're going to be editing, of course, the videos like we did last week on the Prime Sports Network YouTube channel. That's where, of course, we have our main base of subscribers, and the main subscribers, of course, you guys out there that have been watching us talk golf the last few years on Prime Sports Network. So these videos, they're a little bit, of course, shorter. We're editing them lower so we can get them on 5-minute, 10-minute segments. But keep in mind, the entire show is posted on our new golf channel, Tee Off with Jan Stevenson. There's a link in the description, and of course, we'll also put it out there on the comment section and the link itself, of course. So please subscribe if you are a golf fan and you are watching these videos and you want to watch them the entire year, and you are a Prime Sports Network YouTube subscriber. Please subscribe to the new channel, Tee Off with Jan Stevenson, because that's the golf channel that we are eventually going to have everything golf related. We are not going to have a majority of those videos on our Prime Sports Network channel, but we will continue to have snippets here and there. So anyway, last week Jan was on and we had our preview for the season. We also previewed the initial event, the full field event, the Sony Open. So good start to the season as far as playoff. You know, there was nobody knew who was going to win the event, Jared, like beginning of the day or even midway through on Sunday. That it was like 10 or 15 players that had a shot.
Yeah, tight leaderboard, exciting finish. I know it was a tough one for you with Ben on. I was rooting for him on. I want to see him get a win. I feel like he deserves it. He's not going to have a better chance than that. I mean, good to see Grayson Murray get the win too. You know, all the stuff he's gone through. You know, he talked about his troubles with alcoholism and getting over that and getting the win, kind of like Chris Kirk did the previous week. So connection there, man. The drive that Grayson Murray hit on that playoff hole, like a drive I would have hit, like straight into the palm trees. He got lucky to end up where he did and was able to make his long birdie putt. And then Ben Ann played the hole much better than Grayson Murray did, but missed his short putt. So we always talk about the volatility of putting, and that's kind of a perfect example right there.
Yeah, I honestly, I think if Ben On would have taken the shot before Grayson Murray hit his, I think he would have nailed it. I think he was. I don't think he had any idea that was about to happen, and he was about to now have pressure putt, and especially for someone who's never won before. He went from I've either got this or I know I'm going to the next playoff hole to holy crap, I got to make this now just to get to the. I mean, so if that's a 5-time PGA Tour winner, it's in. But that's the kind of stuff you got to go through, and he's at that level now at least where he's put himself, and that's why we talked about him. That's why I picked him. That's why I put him on my one and done. It wasn't out of nowhere. It was because we talked about him last week, and Jan talked about him. She loved him, put him on our fantasy team for the reason that she really feels that this is going to be a big year for Ben On, and talked about all the changes he's gone through, and so that didn't come out of nowhere. But still, you got to learn how to because he hasn't been in that position before. And as far as I know, I know a few years ago he was in contention a few times, but he's going to win this year. And now that I didn't get an opportunity to get him with the win and one and done, you and Jen are going to get an opportunity. So hopefully you'll be able to hit him the week that he gets a win, because I think he will win this year.
I want to say he'll win this year, and I think he could. But I mean, it's so hard to win on the PGA Tour. There's so many good players, and that could easily be the best chance he has to win this season. He could have an awesome season and not come that close again to winning. So I hope he does it. But we'll see. We'll see how he responds to a loss like that.
Yeah, because actually, I'm going to post up now. Might as well. It's a good time as any to post up our long shots for this year. So because we didn't have time to do this last week. And I tell you what, and we've talked about Grayson Murray last year. We talked about him as he's coming back because he had the KFT win. It was good to see. I threw some money on him in a few events. We talked about the fact that he's a guy to keep an eye on maybe for next season. We didn't have time. I mean, he did it just too quickly for us last week.
Yeah.
We didn't have time to talk about him this year, and boom, he goes out there and wins. So he would have been on this list. There's no question, because I even had him on my my fantasy list, but he was probably like the 10th guy on the list that would have, I probably had 9 other guys ahead of him, but he was on my list. But of course I took a few other guys on my last couple of picks. So, and that's actually a reason why I think, and we'll get into it a little bit, that I think he's being completely discounted with his odds this week. I know how it's difficult to win back to back, but Chris Kirk, I know he's a different level player, but his odds were fine last week. What was it, 40-1, 30-1, and Murray's 130-1 after he won last week. I mean, so yeah, I've already put a buck or two on him this week again. Why not? But here's your list and my list as far as players like Murray, who we believe will have a chance to win. They might have even won before. I mean, Higgles got a PGA win. Norman has a couple of wins, not on the PGA Tour yet. Actually, where does Norman have his?
He won the Barbasol last
Barbasol
year, which
PGA.
is it's an alternate event,
right.
so it's like a half PGA Tour win.
So he's got the Euro win and the PGA win in the last year, but yeah, he hasn't really broken out yet. Even though he's got that ability, and we talked about him almost this time last year. Remember, we had somebody talk about the Swedish players. I forget which player he brought up, and we were like, nah, keep an eye on Norman, and there was another player. I forget who we added in that Swedish duo, but Norman was the one that we said to keep an eye on. And sure enough, he went out and had a really good season. Smalley's on your list, and Sam Stevens, who had a good week last week, is also on your list. Who's your top guy out of those 4 who you think could be? And again, this is guys that Jared might throw a couple of bucks on during the year, and I might throw a couple of bucks on during the year as long shots on a weekly basis that we may not even talk about on a show, but we just want to throw them out there. So hopefully you'll see, and then maybe you'll realize, you know what, maybe these are guys that I should also throw a couple of bucks on. Obviously not every week, but maybe from time to time. So who's your top guy on that list?
Yeah, Alex Smalley would be my top pick this year to get a win. When I'm looking for long shots, I like guys that have at least one high-end skill set. So like they're either a really excellent driver or they're a really excellent approach player. At least one thing they can really lean on. And then if they can, bring along the other stuff in one tournament, if they can, improve their approach play, the iron play, improve the driving in one tournament, like that could be enough to get them a win. So Smalley, last year he was 14th on the PGA Tour in ball striking, which is approach plus off the tee game. He was 14th on the tour in approach. He was 40th best off the tee. He's not a good putter right now. That's what he needs to do. But like we always say, putting is something that can come and go in 1 week. So, Smalley last year, he had a 9th place at the Travelers, 2nd place at John Deere. So he was close a couple times. I think he's among these 4 guys I have, he'd be the one I think who is most likely to win this year.
All right. And then my 4, and I know one of my guys is definitely somebody that you like because you have him on your fantasy team. And that is, I've got Hostler, Jaeger, Coles, and Rogers. Rogers is way overdue, and I think he is starting to play better. So I think he's going to break through possibly this year. Hostler has never been this consistent before. And we'll talk about him in our picks later. We didn't have him on our picks, but he is somebody that is the run that he had to end last season. Matter of fact, I remember texting you about him, and your first reaction after I said, yeah, he's actually looking pretty good, as far as, he's never been this kind of consistent over a few weeks. And you needed almost like, I need more proof. And sure enough, he gave it. I mean, he really had a good month or two, which has never happened before. And he is just now I don't know what he's done statistically. If you've seen that, because the one bugaboo, of course, has been off the tee. He's completely erratic. That's the game that really has to improve. Jaeger is the obvious one because he's got like a 6-time KFT winner and he's just so consistent. I think he has 18 straight cuts made on the PGA Tour with 1 top 10. during that stretch. That's the next thing for him. He's got to start getting into contention to win. Coles is a guy I like this week, and so yeah. Did you notice anything from Hostler statistically speaking recently of as far as his tee game?
Yes, it's I hadn't looked into him until you just asked me. His off the tee game has improved dramatically, and I think that's why we're seeing these results. Like he has gained strokes off the tee in what is this 6 of his last 7 starts, and then a bunch more, prior to that. So
Cool.
Yeah. Now the other thing with Hostler is I've seen him hit some really bad shots in contention on Sunday multiple times. Like I want to see
Yes.
him, be able to keep it together on Sunday. But he's still a young kid. He's obviously super talented. So I think he's definitely a guy who could get that win this season.
All right, and I'm just going to post up my Euro breakthroughs, and here's 5 players that I think could be ready for a win this year, and or a breakthrough. One is Matthew Fitzpatrick's brother, Alex. So he's playing a lot better. So keep an eye on Alex Fitzpatrick. Also, I just think this kid Gavin Green, who's usually a long shot, he's 100-1 this week. I think he's going to pull through with a win this year, and I bet him every week like a buck. I'm going to hit him at one point. Xander Lombard's another guy that's starting to play better. Matteo Monacero was a favorite of mine about 10 years ago as a kid. Came out Italian. Everybody thought he was going to be some great player, and then his game just went to shit. And now he's back, and he's starting to play a little bit better. He's still, I think, around in the 300s ranking wise, but he was like gone. So now I think he just won 2 on some obscure tour. So he might be somebody that is ready to get back into contention. And Jaden Shaper is the one that I'm really the most interested in. He's a little over 300, South African in the rankings, but he is really playing better lately. Matter of fact, this week might be a good week to take him at the Dubai Desert Classic. Shaper in his last 4 events, all top 10s, 6th, 7th, 5th, and 9th. So I want to keep an eye on this Jaden Shaper kid and somebody that might be, familiar name to everybody out there, hopefully soon. Okay, now next week, by the way, because we didn't have time to do it this week, but I promise you next week we are going to review our fantasy teams. So that list we're going to show you. We've already we did our live tour draft last week on the show, but we're going to let you know and disclose all our fantasy teams because they weren't going to change anyway in a few weeks. So I might actually change Camilo Villegas if he doesn't make the cut this week. But other than that, I'm sure we're going to probably hold on to most of our players anyway. So we'll let you know about that on next week's show. All right, now let's preview this week's event, the Sony Open, and the Amex. And the Amex is one of those events that is played over multiple courses. It used to be called the Bob Hope Desert Classic. This was one of those events that was just kind of for fun, a pro-am, easy golf course. It still is. It's unfortunate. It's the one thing that you don't like. Even about 10 years ago or something like that, there were a couple of back-to-back years of 30 under par. So that's how weak the golf course is. But once again, because of the scheduling, like last week, the field's better. We got some better players in this field. So who knows how low the scoring is going to go. Hopefully they've done what the Sony Open did, which was they made it a little bit tougher as far as, the rough. They increased the rough, which was really important to keep those scores down. Hopefully, they did something similar at these golf courses. But that's also something to keep in mind, Jared. Anytime you have these like Pebble Beach or this event, you have to keep an eye on which course is going to be historically the easy course, which is the hard course, because this is really good for live wagering. Because if you get up to a good start, say, on the hard course, and the easy course is coming, you check the odds and you go, hey, wait a second. The odds aren't really keeping up with that. You can take advantage knowing that your player might be ready to break out on the easy course.
Yeah, so I know. So the 3 courses are the Stadium course, the Nicklaus Tournament course, and LaQuinta. I know LaQuinta has historically been the easiest one.
Okay.
think usually the stadium course, which is where they also play on Sunday. So you guys who make
Yes.
the cut will play that course twice. That's usually the hardest. I know that one has the most potential for big scores because there's a lot of water in play. I think though, even in the past couple of years though, the Nicklaus tournament course has been kind of close to the stadium course as far as scoring. So LaQuinta is definitely the easy one. So like you said, Greg, if you have someone who goes out and shoots a low score on the stadium course or the Nicklaus tournament course early on, and the odds do not adjust, and that player still has a round to go on LaQuinta, that could definitely be a good live wagering opportunity.
All right, now let's go through our stats and trends. First, I'm going to just bring up some trends. And the fact is, look, this is why I'm a little bit, again, you don't usually see, because right now we've got Scheffler, Schauffele, Cantlay. Normally, you don't see 3 top 10 players here. Normally, like 1. But there's 3. And then you also throw in, Justin Thomas, Sung Jae Im, Minwoo Lee, Tom Kim, and Clark, Open champion, and this is a strong field. So you would think that a better ranked player could more than likely win, because this is usually an event that they stay away from, and that's the reason why you do get a lot of lower ranked players winning. Matter of fact, the last 17 winners, the average world ranking is 153. That's crazy. Adam Long has a lot to do with that. He was 417th in 2019. But John Rahm is the defending champ, obviously not here. He's actually one that has helped to keep the ranking down because of his 2 wins recently. But if you take Rahm out, 15 of the last 17 winners had an average world ranking of 173. So bottom line is, this is one of the weeks that you want to risk taking players that are in the hundreds. And I know it's not easy. We've said that before. It's the hardest thing to do, taking long shots, guys in the hundreds, because you don't know when they're going to play well. But maybe the live betting, again, will give you a better opportunity, because even if someone is 100 to 1, 150 to 1, you don't have to even wager on those guys to start. Wait, see what they do. See what they do after the first day. Like we just said, maybe they have a good day on the hard course. They're ready to go on the easy course. Nobody's going to pay attention to 150 to 1 shot that you might have considered going in. He has a good start on the hard course. The odds are still pretty good at 100 to 1. Grab them. So this is why live betting this week is going to be really important.
Yeah, so just to make your point, Rahm won last year he was either 6 or 7 to 1 most places. Year before that, Hudson Swafford 200 to 1. Year before that, 2021, Siwoo Kim was 66 to 1. Andrew Landry won at 200 to 1. Adam Long won at 600 to 1. So there have been 3 super bombs that have won over the last 5 years here. Siwoo Kim had pretty nice odds as well. And the reason that is, I think, is as John Rahm said last year, he called this tournament an effing putting contest, because it's easy driving. It turns into a wedge and putting contest. Who can get the hottest putter going? And that brings in some of these lesser players, right? That are still going to be hitting greens like the studs are going to be, but if their putter gets hot, they can win this tournament. So yeah, the field is stronger, so there's a better chance this year that we have one of these elites win. But like you said, Greg, I still think this is a week where your card should be heavier on long shots than usual.
And the key trend really is going to be playing Hawaii, at least one of the 2 events, because 21 of the last 22 winners, including the last 11, only did play in at least one event that took place, of course, in Hawaii, the Century or the Sony. Now that's interesting, though, the fact that Mark Wilson, who won in 2012, is the only one during that 22-year stretch that played in both events. And I actually have 3 guys that played in both this week. So I'm a little bit nervous about that. But like I said, I think it's you got to, at least one I think at least one of them is a top player. So, yeah. But keep that in mind. Bottom line is, you really do want to have a player playing in Hawaii before playing here. So
agree. And I think all but one of my bets played in Hawaii, so I'm definitely buying into that trend. Again, we talked about last week. It makes sense that knock some rust off. Now, of course, Grayson Murray won last week, who did not play in the Century. So I think that's 2 years in a row now where the Sony winner did not play at the Century. So I mean, it's still a trend I'm going to buy general, but again, this doesn't mean you can't bet someone that didn't play in Hawaii.
I mean, look, the other 2 guys that were in the playoff both did play.
exactly.
at
Yep.
Century. So it almost worked again. Okay, now let's throw your stats up there. And the first stat that we're going to see is going to be your top 10 in event history in the last 5. And at the top is Sung J M, who actually might be your top guy in your stats here for all 3.
Yes, he appears. He does appear in all 3 of these stats. And honestly, event history, I'm barely weighing at all this week. There's very little correlation from year to year at this event. And again, I think that goes back to the fact that this event does come down to putting more than most events, and putting can be random from year to year. This next list, the top 10 on easy courses, I'm actually weighing that more heavily than event history. Even I just want to see in general how these guys play in these events where the winning score is going to be 25 under, maybe 30 under. So you have your studs like Cantlay and Xander. Those guys are historically good on these easy tournaments. Eric Cole comes in at 3. He's an interesting name. You have a bunch of other elites coming up next year: Tom Kim, JT Scheffler, Sungjae, Akshay Bhatia, Taylor Montgomery, 2 guys who I'll talk about later. They're both on my betting card. And then Tom Hoagie, who I've bet the last 2 weeks. I have not bet yet this week. I might end up betting him just as a FOMO bet. I don't want to miss if he wins, because he has had a couple strong finishes here.
Yes, he has.
As this top 10.
He's not playing well,
shows.
but he's played well recently at this course.
He's driving it horribly. His irons have been fine. So again, that can work here, because you want the iron play and the putting at this course. He's not a good putter, but he has putted well here in the past.
And then your last stat, Eric Cole actually tops the birdies or better gained in the last 12 months.
Yeah, and this is another one I'm weighing heavily, because you do need to go low here. You need to make birdies. So Cole, noteworthy there. Wyndham Clark comes in 4th on this list. And then again, Taylor Montgomery, 8th. So he shows up on 2 of these lists. Akshay Bhatia, he's 10th here. He shows up on 2 of these lists. That's why I bet those 2.
All right. And before we get into our picks, and then we're also going to, of course, talk about our one and dones. Don't forget Jared, and we'll have a link in the description, has the new Twitter account at Smola Golf Bets. So you can subscribe to that account at Smola Golf Bets. And have you been active this past week?
Yeah, I've been posting some of these top 10 lists. So if you miss them on the show and you want to go look at them, I posted the birdies are better gained top 10 last night, so that's up there. And then I'll always post my final betting card there as well.
Okay, cool. Now, and don't forget also a link in the description from our Discord. So that is a way that you can communicate with us, both of us, at any time. You have any questions, comments, before, during, after any of the events, prediction requests, things like that nature, you can talk to us there. Okay, now let's go into our picks. And here's Jared's picks. So Jared has 6 picks. Matter of fact, I think I have 6 picks as well, starting with the U.S. Open champ. And here are my picks. And I have 6 picks. And my top pick is actually, Jared does not know any of my picks, by the way, this week. So I'll keep them.
Who is it?
It's Justin Thomas. So
you're okay. So you're going against the trend of the guys who played in Hawaii.
That's what I said. Yes, there are a few guys that I'm going against that trend, and there's 3 and 3, where 3 are for trends and 3 are not. That's how I have mine. Because again, just like we said with Grayson Murray, you can't all go into trends and stats. You use that as a big tool, but don't go all in on them. If you like a player, don't have the trends or the stats tell you not to use the player. Just say, all right, well, I'll keep that in mind, and maybe I won't wager more on that player. But yeah, so let's go through and let's see. Well, yeah, we'll talk about the top 2 picks. So again, you're gonna go Wyndham Clark, which is surprising, but that's what you do, because you don't sometimes go based on what the player's done recently at an event. Because Wyndham Clark doesn't really have much going on in his 5 previous appearances at this one. So why did you go with Wyndham Clark as your top choice? And I believe his odds are now 35-1.
Yeah. So again, course history here for me, I'm not weighing very heavily. There's just not much correlation from year to year. So I don't mind that Wyndham Clark hasn't had any high finishes here. I also think he's just a much better player now than he was in any
That's
of those
true.
other events. Now he came 29th at Century. So he's a guy who did play Century, did not play Sony. So I guess that's a thumbs up as far as that trend goes. 29th of the Century, he lost 6.1 strokes putting in that tournament. He was 7th best in the field tee to green. So the ball striking was there. He's generally a good putter. He's actually 22nd best in this field, strokes gained putting last 12 months. So I'm not worried about that. He's 9th best in this field in strokes gained approach over the last 12 months. He's 4th best in birdies or better gain. So he checks all the boxes for me. Good approach player, good putter, good birdie maker. He's kind of my favorite value among the higher end guys this week.
All right. And then my top choice, as I mentioned, is Justin Thomas. And really, the reason that I felt good about this were his odds. I think that I'm kind of surprised in this field. I know there are 3 top guys in there, but I'm kind of surprised that they're not giving him recognition based on how he's played recently. It's sort of like what Ricky Fowler when he started to play better, and I was like, all right, now we can start taking Ricky again, and that's how I feel about Justin, because Justin over his last 3 events, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I mean, that's not Justin Thomas from 2023 PGA season. We're talking about really the fall. This was when pretty much everybody had forgotten about Justin Thomas, and I closed the book on him on the 2023 season. Really, in the old wraparound, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So he's playing. He's obviously got something going again. And the last time he played here in 2015, which is a while ago, he was pretty solid. Top 10, 20 under par. So I'm doing this because I think it's a bargain. Because once he wins, he's back down to 10-1, as you know. And so I'm going to try to take advantage of this on an easy course. But like you said, he did not play either Hawaii event. So that is something to keep in mind for sure. All right. I don't know why I put the long shots up there. I should have put my picks, but let's go back to Jared's picks. And Siwoo Kim is number 2. And why'd you go with Siwoo? Because he is a former champ. He just won here a couple of years ago.
Yeah, this is a guy who does have a good course history here. Like you said, won in 2021, came 11th in 2022. I like Siwoo on easier golf courses. I think you look at his history, he's done well on easier courses. He played both Hawaii events, came 25th at the Century, came 42nd at Sony last week, but he was 12th best in that field tee to green. So another guy who the ball striking was good. The putter just didn't cooperate. Siwoo was a guy who definitely can get hot and string a bunch of birdies together. I think, we saw Hudson Swafford win twice here. We saw John Rahm win twice here. I think Siwoo Kim could definitely be another repeat winner.
Yeah, Kim, no top 10 since Memorial, but like you said, he's played well here, so this would be a good week for him to get going again. My second pick is JT Poston, and I think this was just too easy for me to ignore. Jan had him as that was her one and done last week, and Poston had a great final round, so throw that into the mix as well. And you take a look at Poston's stats. Yes, he only has 3 top 25s and 7 appearances, but his last appearance last year, he was 6th at 23 under par. He played both Hawaii events, finishing 6th and 5th, and he has 7 top 10s in his last 11 with 3 top 5s, a runner-up, which was at the 3M Open. So I think that's all coming together nicely for him to be in contention this week, and he's definitely a one-and-done candidate as well.
Yeah, I did not bet Ben on last week because I thought the number was too low, and I almost obviously regretted it. Poston's the guy this week where I want to bet him. I think it's a great spot for him. The number feels like low to me, like the fact that he's the same odds as Tony Finau and Wyndham Clark and those types. Like I feel like there's not good value, but it's that I could definitely see him winning this. So Poston's a guy I'm still considering adding to my betting card.
Okay. Next up, you have Batia, and he is 60-1. And again, he already has a win and on the PGA Tour at Barracuda last year when most people weren't paying attention. Hasn't made the cut in 2 appearances here, but he's a lot better player than he was when he played here just a few years ago. And he played in both Hawaii events, finishing in the top 15. Both.
Right, 14th at Century, 13th at Sony. He gained on approach and putting in both of those events, which is, again, the two things you need to do to win here. And as we said, he showed up on two of those lists we looked at, right? Easy courses, 8th best. Birdies are better gained, 10th best. So it just seems like a good spot for Akshay, who I definitely think is a guy who is a candidate to win this season.
Yeah, I'm just showing the stats there. Actually, he was, yep, he's on both of them there. A little on the bottom end, but on both lists. Okay, my number 3, and I'm doing this also. I'm really doing it because of the odds. Sort of like Justin Thomas, I'm going with Jason Day at 35 to 1 because you just said it. Post on's 30 to 1. You got a few other players, that are in that. Cole, even, who we like. But, I mean, I can get Jason Day and Justin Thomas and these guys right around with those odds. I'm doing it. Jason Day, and he didn't have the breakthrough. Again, we talked about that last week as the comeback breakthrough guy. Yes, he did have the win, which was nice. But he didn't have the consistent season that I think he could have this year. I think now he's ready to have the consistent season. So this is a great way to get started. He has 3 top 15s in his last 6. Runner-up at the Open Championship, 10th at Century. So he played at Century, 18th here last year, an improvement on the 49th place finish the year before, which is his first appearance here. So I think this is going to be a good week for Jason Day.
Definitely a guy who can get super hot with the putter and make enough birdies. So it makes sense to me.
Next up for Jared is pick number 4, Montgomery at 50 to 1. And Montgomery was also somebody that I was thinking about as well. He's ranked 82nd. He is on both 2 of your stats out of the 3. Yep. He played at the Sony. And he'll be making his 2nd appearance here. And this is a player that you had on your fantasy team last year and got off to a good start. 5th, 24 in the par in this event in his first appearance, which was great, but did not play well for the majority of the season after a good start, good end of 2022, good start to 2023, and then just fell apart. Now it looks like he's starting to come back a little.
Yeah, so Montgomery's profile at least has been a really strong driver, really strong off the tee player, and an elite putter. He actually in this field was first last year in strokes gained putting. He was the best putter in this entire field. What I like about Montgomery this week is last week at Sony, he was 2nd in the field in strokes gained approach. So his irons were awesome. So if he can do that again, we know he's going to drive it well. We know, he has a chance to finish near the top of this field in putting. Again, that's the recipe to win here. I like that he came 5th here last year. I like that he's 8th in this field and birdies are better gained. So he's a guy, again, we just need that iron play to carry over from how strong it was last week.
And Montgomery in his last 4 events, all top 35s, 3 top 20s, and 1 top 10. So like I said, he's starting to round back into form. Next up is my 4th pick, Adam Hadwin, at 55 to 1. And Hadwin's on my fantasy team. He's got 5 top 20s in his last 11, 2 runner-ups. Runner-up at Rocket Mortgage, runner-up at Shriners. He's made all 8 cuts here. Which is why he's a one-and-done candidate for me. 6 top 25s, 4 top 10s, 2 runner-ups, 2019, 2017. So he's been that close to winning here before. He did play in both Hawaii events, but he missed a cut last week. So it's not like he's coming in on form, but that's not a trend indicator that's going to shut you out. It's just you got to play in Hawaii. Doesn't matter if you missed a cut or not. So anyway, if Adam Hadwin is going to have a good week, then I think this is definitely the golf course for him.
I always think of Hadwin when we get to these desert courses. I think he's played well in the desert throughout his career, so it makes sense.
Next up for Jared is he got his 2 long shots. Suh at 100 to 1 and Ryder at 150 to 1. He's got Suh $10, Ryder 5. And matter of fact, Ryder is on my list as well. So Ryder and Montgomery were the 2 guys that I also put money on this week as far as long shots, especially Ryder. Ryder was the guy actually that almost made my breakthrough list too. The one we went over as far as could win this week, win this year. So I think we're on there with Ryder. Why did you take both?
Yeah, so Suh is just a young player who I think is going to win on the PGA Tour soon. Now Suh's a guy who does it a lot with the putter. He is third best in this field in putting over the last 12 months. That's not usually the type of guy I bet. I'd rather bet the good ball strikers who are generally bad putters and hope they get hot there. But again, in an event like this where you are going to need to bang a lot of putts, I think someone I'm interested in, especially at 100-1. He is ninth in this field in birdies or better gain. So he's someone that can get hot as far as making birdies, which again is because of that putter. Missed the cut last week at the Sony, but again, I like the fact that he played, knocks some rust off. I think it's a good number here at 100-1. I think Sam Ryder at 200 is probably my favorite bet of the entire week because my model, the numbers that I looked at this week, absolutely love him. Over the last 12 months, he is fifth best in this field in strokes gained approach. He's 11th best in birdies or better gained. He's 16th best putting. So again, those are the three things I'm looking for this week: approach play, putting, birdies or better gained. He's top 16 in all three of those categories. Also had a nice fall swing, had a couple nice finishes in the fall, and Ryder had made 5 straight cuts here prior to missing the cut last year. So I like that he has some experience at the courses.
And he's made 9 straight cuts overall on the PGA Tour. Has not played this year though, but in his last 2 events, he finished 13th and 10th. So yeah, Sam Ryder is definitely on my list as well as a long shot. His odds have dropped to 150, but it's still a good one. And those are the guys we're talking about. If they get off to good starts, I don't know where they're starting, but either way, especially if it's the hard course, definitely keep an eye on them before they hit LaQuinta. All right, and my 2 long shots are Yuan and Coles. And sort of like what I said with Murray. I'm still getting 150 with Yuan. I mean, I know it's, look, we're not asking him to win back-to-back like Murray, but Ewan was a guy that we also had kind of mentioned briefly at the end of last year. That was because if you take a look at it, he's really been a decent player since 2022. So this isn't something new. He's been hanging around, playing pretty well. He had a KFT win in 2022. He was 4th last week, 4th at Bermuda, which was just a couple of starts ago. He was 6th at Farmer at was it Sanders Farms? What is that called again? Sanderson
Farms. I think
Sanderson Farms in October. Yep. So so he's a guy that one of those long shots, and now he's coming off a 4th, and I'm getting 150-1. So yes, he did miss the cut last year, but played here. And then Coles, who I put on my list, my breakthrough list, is also 150-1. And if you take a look at Coles, Coles has played here twice. He missed a cut once in 2022. Didn't play again until 2013, which shows you this guy's been around a little bit. But he's 115th in the country ranking, in the world ranking, which is best ever. He started 2023 671st, and then went with 12 top 20s in 2023, 9 top 10s, 5 top 5s, 2 KFT wins. He added a 5th at the RSM Classic in late November. And in the final round at that event, he shot a 63, and that was, of course, his best PGA result ever. So he was 52nd at the Sony last week, and I just think this is somebody that in that long shot category to definitely keep an eye on, and maybe this is that type of week that fits the profile for someone like him. So
yeah, my numbers like Coles. He's 28th in this field in approach over the last 12 months. He's 29th putting, so and he kind of checks those 2 boxes pretty nicely for a long shot.
Okay, now just going around the horn here as far as any other players that were, again, remember, Scheffler, Cantlay. Bottom line is, and I know what you're going to say is what I'm going to say, why would I take these guys at an event like this with short odds? Yeah. It's just, no, this is the week to just roll with it with long shots, because Scheffler's 5-1, and he only has 1 top 5 here in 4 appearances. Schauffele was 3rd last year at 25 under par, which is really strong. And Cantlay has played here 5-6 times, and he only has 1 top 5. So, yeah, why would I risk these guys when they have, 3 top 5s combined at 12 total? So it's not like they're like, even though you would say great player, easy course, no brainer, but that's just not the way it is. Im is the guy that I really am interested in that we didn't talk about, because he's on your list, as we said. 5 of 5 cuts, all top 20, 1 top 10, 7 straight top 25s, 5th at Century. The only thing I'm concerned with, because I am thinking about him on one and done, is he has not had a PGA Tour win since Shriners in 21. But it does look like he's this might be a good week for him because he's playing well.
Yeah, for sure. I think so, to me, Sungjae Im and Tom Kim are the other two guys, like sub 35-1 that I would consider at their numbers, because I think Sungjae is still like 20-1 and Tom Kim was 25 or 28-1. I think those are good values on those guys.
Yeah, Kim, let's see. Kim is 25. Sung Jae is now 20. And let's see. Minwoo Lee is obviously somebody who's on my fantasy team, somebody that I think could have a really good year. It's just he hasn't played here before. He did not play Hawaii, but he really ended last year strong with 10 top 15s in his last 13, including 2 wins. Anybody else? I mean, Fowler I like because of his odds. I know he's not playing all that great, but he's 60-1. So because of that, I didn't like him when the odds came out at 35-1, but I sure like him at 60-1. Cole, yep. I mean, the kid's gonna. Again, I call him a kid. He's 35 years old, but he's gonna win soon, and he's still hot. I mean, two Hawaii events, top 15s.
Right, yeah, Cole's someone I can't bet at the number he's at, kind of similar to Poston, but that's why I think Cole and Poston are my 2 favorite one and done selections. I think trying to get guys while they're playing well on courses that I think suit their game well. We talked about Cole being really good on easy courses. He's a good birdie maker, so I think Cole and Poston are my 2 favorite one and dones. I'm not going to bet them, but I can get some exposure to him via.
And my top 4 one and done guys are Cole, Hadwin, Im, and Poston. So we both like Cole and Poston. I'll try to get Jan's, and when I do, I'll share it on the Discord to let everybody know. Last week, again, I had on, Jan had Post on. You actually, your top 3 guys, one of them was Henley. And he had, of course, it looked like he was going to win.
Again.
And then
he's always close at that tournament.
Yep, and then he faltered, even though he did have a win there. But the other 2 guys, you were deciding between Connors or Rose. Who did you go with?
I went with Rose, who was very disappointing. But again, it was nice that Grayson Murray won. I don't think anyone had Grayson Murray in the entire one and done that we're in.
Nobody.
So it wasn't a week you're gonna fall too far behind.
By the way, considering that I took on and nobody won, that's at least a good consolation.
I mean, you're tied for first.
Tied for first.
You're tied for first. It's as good as you could have asked for.
That's as good as you can ask for. Yeah.
Yep.
So hopefully there'll be more than that, and I won't have to look back at 2024 and say, "Remember when I was tied for first after 1 week?"
All right.
All right. Any other players? Berger's back. Hey.
Yes. That's awesome. That's awesome. Hope he plays well. We got Zalatoris in the field again. He did not play well.
By the way, his odds are of what we said they should have been last week. He's now 100-1.
Yeah, and I'm not even going to bet him at 100-1. No. And even if he was playing well, I wouldn't like him at this tournament where, you need to make a ton of birdies. You need to make putts. That's not kind of where you want to play Zalatoris.
So Berger hasn't played since the 2022 U.S. Open. Keep in mind, we mentioned it last week, Jan is going to put together her insider report, and these kind of player injuries, things of that nature are going to be a big part of it. So I think right now we're trying to record it on Friday. So keep that in mind. And then also we're getting ready. We're going to record her segment where she's going to break down player swings. She's going to get into the putting as well. But the players that she's going to talk about this week are going to, in about a week, we're going to record it. She's going to break down Scotty Scheffler's swing. She's going to break down, where is it? Do I have her stuff? It's, Scheffler, Neiman, Ben On, and how do you pronounce that really good Swede's name again? Because I don't want to butcher it.
Ludwig Ober.
Okay, I think that's it. Yeah. All right. No, yeah, I think that's it. We'll go with that. So, I try to come prepared now with these pronunciations if I think I'm going to, but I forgot to do that. Yeah. So, all right. So, so there you go. So that's Jan is coming out. By the way, she's also going to do a report starting in March for the TPC, where she's going to let you know, not every week, but on specific golf courses that favor left to right or right to left players, depending on the courses. So she says because the TPC favors right to left hitters, she's going to start with that. And then, of course, she'll go over the right to left hitters to keep an eye on for the TPC. So that's also coming up. And she's going to be at Innisbrook, which is her backyard in the Tampa area, in late March. And she'll be on site and she will definitely hook up and present a video. Maybe she'll interview a couple people there. So we're looking forward to that. As far as other players that I think is worth a couple of bucks, Jaeger. I mean, I got to put a couple of bucks on Jaeger because, and I almost put him in my picks this week. Like I said, he's made 18 straight cuts. So, and he was 16 under par last year, which was his best showing. So I just really feel that at some point this guy has got to break through and come up with a win. So I think he's probably, and again, he's only like about 60-1. We didn't really even talk about McCarthy, who backed out, by the way. So he's not even playing this week. He was gonna. But Sam Burns, we didn't even talk about him. So he's in this field too, as is Lowry and Cam Davis. So your boy Cam Davis, I just have a little bit of a, I don't know.
I just didn't get to him this week. I think he's a fine play. Just didn't quite make my card.
And Hostler, again, the only reason why Hostler is not on our list this week is because, oh, by the way, 8 top 30s in his last 9. That's the streak that he ended the season with. 5 top 15s, 3 top 10s, and a runner-up at Zozo. So that's the reason why I liked. I think this is a good year for him. Other than that, that's going to wrap it up. I'm going to go with Adam Scott, by the way, at the Dubai Desert Classic. That's this week. Tommy Fleetwood came up with a big win. That was another big event last week that we didn't really have time for, but that was Fleetwood started the 18th, 1 stroke behind Rory McIlroy, and won on that 18th because Rory hit the ball in the water, bogeyed the hole, and Tommy Fleetwood birdied. Is that how it worked out?
Yes, birdie bogey.
And that was it. And Tommy Fleetwood stole the win, which is possibly going to be big for Tommy Fleetwood for this year. He needed that. So next week, Jared, what are we doing?
Is it Pebble? I think it's Pebble, right?
No, we're not there yet.
Yeah, it's something in between.
Next week is Farmers Insurance.
Okay, Torrey. Perfect.
Yeah. And I want to shout out to one of our viewers, Gaming with Homie One Kenobi. Can't wait for another golf season. Looking forward to the content Jan, Jared, and Greg provide every week. Good luck to all of you this week. So thanks to Gaming with Homie One Kenobi. Anybody else want to leave any comments, please do that. And again, check our Discord channel. Check out Jared on Twitter. And we'll see you guys again next week. Jared, appreciate your time as always.
Thanks, Greg. Good luck this week. Talk to you next week.